Let me see the king, you tell the maid at his door. She looks around nervously, eyes landing on Takashi, who's at your heel. He nods. Please don't say anything that will trigger him, she requests, her hand on the doorknob. Don't mention the prince, please, She stops talking, instead opening the door to the king's bedroom. He's sitting on a chair to the right, book in hand. He looks normal. But when he spots you and Takashi, he stands up, letting the book fall to the ground. What are you doing here? He asks, his voice shaking. You shouldn't be here. Your Majesty, you address him like you were a frightened animal. Do you remember Duke Calamhem? His brows furrowed and his lips turned into a scowl. That traitor. Traitor? You ask. If Duke Callahan is presumed dead, then why would the king call him a traitor? I see him, the king explains, his eyes wide. I see him every night, stalking him down. It makes me want to scream. I want to kill him. Striking who down, Your Majesty? You ask, your mind spinning. You were now the frightened animal. It's like it repeats on my mind. That same moment. That cursed courtyard. What do you... I want him killed, he snapped. Just like he killed my son. Oh, I told you not to mention the prince. The maid sighs, shaking her head. He's been like this ever since we had to gather in the throne room, saying crazy things. What other crazy things has he said? You ask, probably more interested than you should be. Shoto's not dead. The king doesn't even know that he's sick. What is going on? The maid wrings her head, hands in nervousness, avoiding your gaze. He mentions a fire a lot. She gulped. Like, a lot. Thank you for telling me. You leave, not even beginning to try to sort out things, but desperately wanting to figure out. But right now, it doesn't matter, because if Shoto's going to. If your quirk didn't work, that means Shoto doesn't have much time left, and you have to tell him. You have to spend as much time with him as you can and tell him how you feel. You march off to his room, leaving Takashi in the dust. Shoto? You open the door to his room, the creak resorting throughout you. It's too quiet. Just so quiet. He's sitting up in his bed, bare-chested, looking down at his bandaged stomach. Shoto, you shouldn't move too much. You say concerned. You rush to his side. You still haven't changed, I see. He smiles. You're not sure what he means until you look down at your clothes. You're still in your thin dress, and you're sure leaves are still in your hair. You blush. Well, I wanted to see you. You say, I really don't care about what I'm wearing. It's not like you've properly clothed either. He blushes, looking down. It's the cutest thing you've ever seen. You sigh. He seems better, more awake, although that's probably because he's gotten more sleep than usual. What should you say? Should you say anything? Hey. He interrupts your thoughts. Why do you look so down? His words and concerned expression do it, and suddenly you're crying softly. I'm sorry, you say in between sobs. Royal shouldn't cry as much as I do. No. He takes your hand in both of his. Even royals must cry sometimes. I think. That only makes you cry more. The tears flowing faster, but quietly. It's the numerous overcoming you. That Shoto's going to die. You sit by him, unmoving your cheeks, wet with tears. This might not be the best time, Shoto says, his voice breaking through your despair. But I have a question. You've asked me before, and I didn't really reply because I thought it wasn't the right time. Yes? You sniff, wiping your face. Will you marry me? For a second time, you're speechless, not sure what to say. Those words are there, but so is the doubt. Because I love you. The words aren't yours, surprisingly, but Shoto's. The boy's who was surprisingly on his probably deathbed. The boy with a scar and stoic gaze. The boy who makes your heart skip a beat and do your mind backflips. Shoto Todoroki, the boy you loved. Of course, I love you too. You sniff, wiping the tears and snot from your face. You can only imagine how messy you look, all snotty, red-faced, in thin dress with leaves in your hair. Shoto looks ridiculous too, shirtless, all bandaged, and a goofy smile on his face. The words aren't as perfect as you imagined, the moment not as ethereal. The exchange was unexpected and sloppy, but perhaps you preferred it in that way, because it all meant more. It was imperfect, as all the things are, the same as your relationship, a moment sprung out of nowhere, just like your arranged marriage. But to you, it makes all the difference. You trace your finger along Shoto's jaw, his eyes granting permission for something more than words, something that can describe your feelings better than words. Maybe time stopped when your lips met his, but you'll never be for sure, because all that matters is Shoto, your fiancé, your love, your world. You wouldn't have noticed if the world exploded, because 1,000 worlds pass between you. All the I love yous and my loves you don't want to miss. The person you'll spend the rest of your life missing. You put your power into that kiss, your love, all into one hug and touch between lips. He hugs you tight, pulling you in closer, and you feel him grow warm, cold, all at once. The formalities making you want more. You're careful, wrapping your body in just the right way so you don't touch his wounds. Suddenly, that's all that's in your mind, his wounds, his hurt, his pain, his smiling eyes when he sees you, even though he's been stabbed and could die. He's calm, reassuring gaze, his lips on yours, his hand on your hip. If only there was a way you could return the happiness you feel when you're around him. If only there was a way to stop his pain. You give him your power. You give him your heart. You give him your energy and the rest of your consciousness until the world fades to black. The last thing you see is his surprised expression when you can feel the smile on his face.